Hello Flosstube! Welcome back this beautiful May day. It is the last day of school today. It was the last day of school. And for our school district, the last day only goes from 8:15 to 10 o'clock in the morning, and the kids, any kids who show up, we just have them go straight into the auditorium. They watch a movie until from 8:15 to 10, and then they go straight back out the front doors. They're not allowed to go anywhere else in the building. So it's a pretty low-key day. I was in charge of, we had a end-of-year luncheon for all of the staff, all the faculty, and all the adults who work in the building at 11 o'clock. And I was in charge of that. We just had Jimmy John's sandwiches and some desserts and some drinks. Said goodbye to all the people who were leaving and the people who were retiring. And then I got cleaned up from that about 12:30, and then we have a really wonderful principal who just says, go home. Everybody just go home. And since school ended on a Thursday this year, technically tomorrow, Friday, is a contract day for me. I'm supposed to work tomorrow, my normal hours, 7:30 to 4. But I knew that last year and this year, just the schedule worked out where school ended on a Thursday and Friday was still a contract day. So last year and this year, I used all my comp time and took tomorrow off. So I have it's the afternoon, early afternoon. I have the rest of the day off today, and I have tomorrow off. School's out. I do work 2 more weeks. The first 2 weeks in June, I work until the 14th, but without kids there, you're just kind of winding up stuff at the end of the year, shredding old files, organizing, getting anything you can ready for next year. And it's very low key and very calm, so it'll be really nice. Same hours, 7:30 to 4, although sometimes the principal kicks us out early because the air conditioning gets shut off like at 2 and it starts to get really hot. So I may have some early days in the next few weeks, maybe not. Maybe I'll be there till 4 every day, I don't know. But it's really nice because it's very calm. All right, last weekend, the long Memorial Day weekend for us in the United States, we had Monday off. I was in Green River, Utah with my family, with my kids and my parents and my grandkids. And I lived there when I was, the year before I started kindergarten, and then when I was in kindergarten and most of my first grade year. So 4, 5, and 6, I lived out there. My dad had a degree in aeronautical engineering, and he worked at the missile base that was there at the time. They were shooting missiles from there to White Sands, New Mexico to do some testing. The military was. He was not in the military. He was a civilian employee on the missile base. So we lived in Green River, Utah. But it's a desert. It's on the way to Moab. If you've ever heard of Moab, Utah. Arches National Park, Canyonlands. It's out in that way, almost to Moab. So it's desert. It's the San Rafael Swell, gorgeous along there. Geological rock. You can see where the whole landscape, big rock, sandstone landscape just went up sideways during an earthquake at some point. It's beautiful out there. When we lived there, my dad would go out every Saturday and explore different dirt roads. So we know a lot of fun things to visit out there, and we go out and visit usually once a year. It's kind of been a tradition. So that's where I was, Memorial Day weekend. That's why I didn't film last weekend. I was out on the desert getting sunburned one day, then it rained the other 2 days. I took 2 projects with me, but I only worked on one of them. And I completely forgot. Catherine, boss daughter, gave me my Mother's Day present back that she took home to work on, the cross-stitch project. She usually does, sometimes she does 2 cross-stitch projects that I'm sick of. She'll take them home because my birthday's right next to Mother's Day, and she'll take them home and work on them for a couple of months or a month and then give them back to give them kind of a little jump start because I was sick to death of them. This year for one of the projects, she bobbinated all the floss for my A Stitcher Shelf project, and then she took, I call it French alphabet. Sorry, I will put it in the description box. I cannot remember the name of it. She took that home and worked on it for me. That was the one where I had used old floss, the greens 470s, and then I asked you all if you had old floss because the dye recipe, DMC had to change their dye recipe, so the color changed a little bit, and so it wasn't matching. So you all sent me your floss. You're also fabulous. I have plenty now. Thank you. Catherine took that one home to work on. Long story short, while we were at Fossil Point out at Green River, she and I sat on a rock and did a short video and she showed you what she did for Mother's Day. So I will insert that right here. Hello, Flosstube.
Hi, Flosstube.
We cornered Catherine, made her hold still for 5 minutes so she could tell us about what she stitched for me for Mother's Day. Yes. Well, and my birthday. My birthday and Mother's Day combined. So you did the bobbinated all the floss.
Yes, for, what's that project called again?
Stitcher Shell.
A Stitcher Shell.
So that was half of the gift.
Yes. So, and that didn't take very long. So, the other one I worked on was, is it called French alphabet?
Well, I call it French alphabet. It's Abedecaire something. So I will put it in the box below. I'll tell you later when I edit this video.
Oh, it's this way. Okay. Ta-da! I did. Here, hold it up for a second. I did probably 3 or 4 years ago. I think you had done like this section right here, and then I think I went a little further around the corner. And then you can barely tell. Oh, I got all the way down here because this is where the green switched. So this is the old color green. I don't know what this was. It's some color in the middle of
we don't know.
The new color and the old color, because the old color is definitely darker. It's the dark green on these. And so I got all the way down and around here for Mother's Day. And then, so all she has to do is this part left of the border, so she's not going to be bored to death of it. And then the middle, bored of the border. Ah, we're so funny. We're on vacation, by the way.
Oh, we're at Fossil Point, outside of Green River, Utah, on the way to the airport. It's on the airport road. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, do okay.
And Andrew, who you met on the stocking video, is our cameraman today.
Hey, the man behind the camera.
So yeah, so there you go. So now the border's all done and she can just, I'm just scared to death that this isn't going to match up here. That she's going to get up here and be like, this is a stitch off or a half stitch off. That would just be my
She
nightmare,
was so nice and left
fine.
me one repeat that I have to do by myself.
Yeah.
It's like my vegetables. She
She
left me
doesn't
my
get off
vegetable section.
scot-free. She has, and she did this part up here. So I
And the
figure-
letters. I did
and the
all
letters.
the letters.
She has to do all the middle part. But yeah. So I didn't take her all the way back to the beginning. I left her a little bit more, so she did have to do some of the border herself. So don't worry.
I'm gonna stitch it, and then I'm gonna call you on the phone and go, Catherine, it didn't mean it, just to freak you out.
You're like, what? You're like, just kidding. JK, psych. So yeah. So now are you so motivated to work on this now? Mm-hmm. To fill in all the middle part?
I don't
and
think
have
it'd
be
be,
done?
this part doesn't, because it's got a lot of white space in it, this
Yeah.
part doesn't feel like it takes as long as this border does.
Well, and I think, isn't a bunch of the stuff down here over one?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, okay.
Maybe I'm thinking of it
Maybe a little bit.
then. A little bit?
A little bit. It could be. This piece has lots of problems. It has had lots of issues. The pattern. Okay, has anyone ever Andrew, have you ever printed something on your computer and the printer freaked out and it's printing garbage?
Oh yeah.
So when I was printing, this was a free download pattern off the internet years ago, and I printed it in these little sections, and I didn't realize that like half of them have printed in just these gibberish letters.
no.
Like it looks like the pattern, but then when you go to check the symbol, you're like, wait, what symbol is that?
Yeah, like the pattern is okay.
And the writing down
the
at the
writing
bottom, the
is-
legend that was in French is now in gibberish.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because the printer doesn't have the French driver or whatever.
Oh, see, he would know.
Yeah. Pages
Yeah,
like
I printed
that.
some of it, but not others.
The language drivers.
So I need to go back. I'm sure I have the files somewhere. I need to go see if I can reprint it again. We may have to call Andrew over for technical support.
Call IT desk. It's
Figure out how to
fine.
do that. All right.
Yeah. So it is fine, but yeah. So now
sad.
it's coming along.
So if we ever
Didn't
finish
you-
it, it's going to be quite the undertaking.
Yeah. Didn't you change the colors too?
Yes, and I changed the
Yeah.
colors because I didn't like them.
Yeah. So there you go.
Awesome.
Ta-da!
And we will edit this into the rest of the video, and maybe we'll give you a couple of other clips from our trip later. Woo! All right. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing us out in the desert, being real. That was fun. It was a hot day, but it was fun. That was the first day we were out. After that, we went to Champagne Geyser, which I have a short video, so I'll insert that at the end of the video. And I also took some pictures the rest of the weekend, so I'll put some of those in at the end of the video. Also, at the end of the video, I will tell you about these cute, cute fairy houses. Fairy garden. I don't have, mine is a wee garden is what I call it, that my good friend Cindy made for me. I'll tell you more about those at the end of the video. All right, stitching. Let's get to stitching. So before I left, I finished Maynia on May 19th, and then on May 20th, I just started over with one again, so they'd all get one more day, and that puts me into June 7th. So I'll show you what I did so far on those. Maybe. So day one was the January card that I'm doing for my fun everyday Perpetual Calendar by SamSarah. I have it at work, and I felt like it needed 2 more cards. A seasonal card for January and a seasonal card for March. So I worked on January. We can find something to put behind it. On this side so you can see it better. That's how far I got. It will be for the, it's not really holiday, well, there's a couple of holidays in January, but it's kind of the holiday portion of the calendar, and I wanted something on there for January. So I am adapting this Bent Creek Winter Arches pattern, this house right here. So that's what I'm going to put on that card. That was day one, which would have been May 20th. So that got one more day. Oh, sorry, these are so noisy. Then I worked on R-Kade a little bit more by Long Dog Samplers. Looks like this. I'm doing it on 40 count Conifer by Picture This Plus, and I'm using Silks For You silk, a hank, and that is where I am so far. Loving that color, loving it. Just, oh, that silk. It's in one color silk, it's overdyed. It's got some greens, some oranges, some browns, some yellow. Oh, it's beautiful. I love how it's turning out. It's going to be big. I had a couple of viewers ask, because on some of my pieces I started in the corner, some of my Maynia pieces, and some of them I started in the middle. Some of them I started on the top right corner, some of them I started on the top left. But I had several people ask about how you start in the corner. If you've cut your fabric very carefully and you know you have a 3-inch border all the way around, then you can just take a 3x3 post-it note, put it in the corner right here, and then you know right at the corner of that post-it note that you can start your pattern right there. Or if you have a 2-inch border, then use a 2x2-inch square piece of paper. If you're not sure how big of a border you have and you're worried that there's going to be enough, don't start in the corner. Start in the middle. So you for sure have it centered in the middle, and then whatever border is left will be fine, right? So I only do that if I've measured very carefully and I know for sure that I have a 3-inch border all the way around, or a 2-inch border, or whatever border it is that I've cut. I know what it is, so I know that it will fit. So that got one more day. And then I worked on Sky Blue Street, because that was my 3rd piece on Maynia this year. It's by Sodastitch, looks like this. I started in the middle on this one. Worked on it for one more day. And started on this big pine tree that's right here. And then I think the next night I was packing for our trip, so I didn't do any stitching Thursday night. And then Friday night we left for Green River, so I didn't do any stitching Actually, I think I stitched in the hotel room that night. I took Petite House with me and the Christmas stocking for my daughter-in-law, Hannah. But the only one I worked on while I was there was the stocking. So I worked on it Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then we came home Monday. And I didn't do any stitching Monday night. I was tired. So I'll show you the progress on that over the weekend. This is Heirloom Stocking Series by Better Homes and Gardens out of the old Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine. They're now available on the Cooler Design Studio website, Kooler. They're also, some of them are available on 123 Stitch now. From the Cooler Design Studio, I listed as the designer. Here's how it all is. All of it, I worked on this section down here under the stove while I was in Green River. Worked on this basket of oranges, this cool rug, which is not cross stitch, it's just the half of the X, all slanting the same direction with alternating colors. But it looks like a rag rug. It looked like my grandmother and my great-grandmother used to make these rag rugs. Looks just like it. It's awesome. This is a little canister of cloves that you'll be able to tell when I get the back stitching and French knots in. And there's cloves stuck all over these oranges because they're putting cloves in the oranges for Christmas. But you'll see that when I do the back stitching, a couple of blocks. This is, I had a couple of comments on Instagram. Yes, this is the heel right here. So it comes down maybe about like this down to the toe. So this half is almost to the bottom. There's just a couple of floorboards detail in here and another block, I think. And then there's a big table, kitchen table right here, a cow toy down here. And I just need to finish there's a red and white checkered dish towel hanging over this chair. Oh, and a little green tree right here. So I would really like to have this done by the end of June so that I can do my other daughter-in-law's stocking for the second half of the year and have them done by Christmas. This one just might make it. Especially now that school's out and it's a lot less stressful at work. Okay, then I came back this week on Tuesday. So after I got back and didn't do any of my Maynia pieces while I was gone, I decided I needed to double up until I got caught up again. So Tuesday night I worked on 2 pieces and last night I worked on 2 pieces. And then I haven't worked on my pieces yet today because I just got home from school. So next I worked on the Jan Houtman Patchwork Sampler. I'm using all of my leftover silk floss to do this. It's just a patchwork sampler. I'm just choosing colors and doing whatever I feel like. Not following the colors in the pattern. And this is what it looks like so far. And it's sideways. It goes like this. I'm thinking maybe I'll just stick to cool colors on this. Just do blues and greens and purples, maybe. Some yellow, maybe. I don't know. Really enjoying that. I haven't been telling you the count of the fabrics or the floss or anything, but it is in the description box below if you're wondering. And then I worked some on Victorian Charm because that was one of my Maynia WIPs. Here's where that is. I finished up the wall on either side of the big front porch roof. So I'm enjoying that one. That will go back to being my weekend piece when Maynia is over, when May is over. And I worked on a Stitcher's shelf, Heaven and Earth Designs, but I kept getting interrupted and I only got, oh, all right, I'll pull it out. I wasn't going to pull it out. this is what it looks like. My version does not have this medallion in the middle. I didn't even finish a whole 10 by 10 block. I was still working down by that wine bottle that's right there, trying to finish that little block in there. But I did work on it for like an hour and a half. It's like a bazillion different colors in that little 10 by 10 block. So it's taken forever to finish that one because of that wine bottle. And I worked on Summertime. We'll have to double up for a couple more days to get caught up. Worked on Stitcherovia, Summertime. Cute PDF download that I got on Etsy. Got this much done. And that is as far as I am on doing one more day on all my Maynia projects. Okay, I don't have any haul, but I will have some coming this week, so then I can tell you about that next time, next video. For an old finish, I don't have notes this week, so I'm trying to remember what I'm doing. Oh, and I'm upstairs again because it's daytime and my husband's at work. I do not like filming in front of people. Really, really don't. Okay, this is an old finish called Namesake Sampler, and it's by My Big Toe. I started it in March of 2009, and it was finished in March of 2010, and I actually did it as a round robin with an online group I still belong to, but belonged to at the time, called Only One You. It was a chat board. And we all chose a piece, started it, and then I think there were 4 or 5 of us in the round robin group, and we each sent our piece to one person, and they worked on it for a month and then sent it to the next person who worked on it for a month and then sent it to the next, and then we each kept getting a different one each month to work on. You know what I'm saying. So I stitched part of this, and then when it came back I finished anything that wasn't done on it yet. So probably maybe half of this was stitched as part of the round robin. But it had an alphabet, so you could put your whatever initial you wanted to up in the top, and I did B for Brenda. Has several alphabets. It's 2, I think it's Mount Baker Blue. Let's see if I wrote it down. It's 2/2 on 32 count, Mount Baker Blue, Lakeside Linen. I used a Needle Necessities British Green and a Threadworks 1048 and a, not Crescent Colors, Classic Colorworks Harvest Pumpkin. It has several Bible verses on it. Around the edge it says, let's see where it starts. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband trusts safely in her. Strength and honor are her clothing. And then my initials. So that's what is going all the way around the edge. And then right here, this little tiny backstitching. Listen to me, you islands, hear this distant nations. Before I was born, the Lord called me. From my birth, he has made mention of my name. Isaiah 49:1. I love that scripture. So that's my old finish. I really enjoyed that piece. And then what I wish I was stitching on, there's a group of stitchers I still stitch with in Salt Lake. We used to belong to the Swan Sampler Guild, which is now disbanded, but we still get together every once in a while and stitch. And we all took a class together from Catherine Theron. They all took a class called Morning Has Broken. I was not able to attend that class. I can't remember why. But then a few years later, I was able to get the pattern from the kit from another stitcher who had taken the class, who was getting rid of all of her stash. It's called Morning Has Broken, and we're starting a stitch along on June 1st. So I'm excited to stitch on this, excited to get started on it. This is kind of a not quite done picture from the designer when Catherine Theron, when she taught the class. So all the grass still needs to be filled in. I had to look up, I remember the song from the 70s, Morning Has Broken by Cat Stevens. And I thought, oh, that sounds like a scripture or something. Is that it? And I had to look it up. It's from a hymn written in the 30s. So I love it. I think this is going to become I kept thinking about starting a Savior's Praise to work on Sundays, because so many of you are doing that, and it is so beautiful, but it's so big, and I didn't know if I wanted to start it. And then I remembered that we were all wanting to work on this one starting in June. So I think I'm going to start this instead and have this be my Sunday piece that I work on Sundays. It was originally charted for the Lake Michigan Sampler Guild. You can see that right here. And that it was their 10th year anniversary. She did give us a chart of this. Either she gave it to us or someone in the guild charted it. I can't remember. So it would say the name of our guild. But I think what I'm going to do is change these two to some favorite scriptures of mine and chart them so they'll fit in those two boxes. This part down here will have my name on it. The word, this just says the year. This is an alphabet. This middle part says, morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Beautiful. Beautiful piece. So I'm excited to start that. A ton of specialty stitches. Oh gosh. All these blue flowers are spiral trellis. Oh, I'm either going to have to practice spiral trellis a whole bunch or change that to some other stitch. I don't know. That's a tough stitch. But that will be lots of fun. All right. I think that's all of the stitching. If you are not interested in some movies and video of my wee village, and you don't want to hear about these little houses, then you can be done now. Otherwise, stick around. Okay, my friend Cindy Glad, yes, her name is Cindy Glad, G-L-A-D. She used to live just up the street from me when our children were little, and our kids are friends, and we were friends, and we spent a lot of time together, lots of happy memories. She has since moved several times, but now has ended up in Provo, which is just about 20 minutes south of me. She is a potter. She has a pottery studio in Provo, and her website is called Muddy Pants Pottery. Like muddy, like you got your pants muddy. M-U-D-D-Y, muddypantspottery.com. She knew about my wee village and had been seeing some other stuff online and thought maybe she'd try her hand at making little fairy houses. I just call them little wee houses. And so she made some, and I told her I wanted to buy all of them, so I did. If you are interested in buying some from her, you can message her. It's just, there's probably not pictures of these on her website. I don't know. She also has a Facebook page and an Instagram account, and I think they're all Muddy Pants Pottery, where you can see more pictures of these. But so she probably won't have any on her website, but you can message her if you're interested in her. I asked her, so someone could say, I want one just like that, and she said no, because they're all going to be different. I just make them, and they all come out different. But I think they are so beautiful. I love them, and they're all going in my wee village, every single one of them. This one is actually black clay, so this part is unpainted. This is the color of the clay in the bottom. And then this glaze is white glaze, and on top of the black, it turned a pretty brown color. Look at those branches on the side. Oh, I just love these. Look at this detail above the door. And all this that she made look like rock. And she said she specifically went back and reworked this and didn't leave it smooth, so it would look like, not adobe, plaster, so it would look like a plaster. Look at this one. The doors are like partway open. All these windows. This one's a teapot with all the little leaf work on it. She said these started out as leaves and then they turned into flower petals as she was working on it. I love that one. And this one and this one and this one make me think of fish. I don't know why. They look like fish faces. Look how cute they are. Okay, so my wee village, I told you, was not destroyed. I had to move it. I had to take it out because we built this new room that we're in right now on the house, which was fine. The new room was important. I needed these windows desperately. Saved my mental health, I can't even tell you. So now we're in the process of getting the wee village put back in. So I'm going to, I believe I have an old video of what the village looked like in its heyday a couple of years ago. And I will show that here. And then, well, okay, right after this. And then I'm going to show, I was able to move part of it to a front flower garden before the construction started because I thought it was only going to impact part of it. So I moved some of those perennial plants out there and kind of made a different kind of a wee garden. I can't put all my little things that I usually put out there because it's right in front of the house and the little kids would just walk off with all the fun stuff that's in it. But I'm going to actually go out and take a video so you can see what's out in the front. And it's a real video. I haven't weeded. It's not in the best of shape, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. And then I'm going to go out and show you what the wee village looks like right now. My husband and I are working on putting the retaining wall back in so that I can get that put back in. And I'll show you the disaster that it is right now so that you hopefully in June or July, I'll have it at least partially put back together and I'll show you I'll just show you a clip every once in a while of where it has gotten to. And I'll do that. And then right after that, I'll put some pictures from our trip to Green River after that. And I'll see you next week, I hope. Bye-bye. Okay, the trash truck's gonna come by. This is my house. This is the front. Well, okay. We have great big pine trees. I do have some little fairy doors along that, under that little air conditioner along there. I have a lot of mossy stones and some little fairy doors under there. Wee doors. I've talked about Mount Timpanogos before. It's kind of a hiding right there in the middle. It's completely covered with snow. And behind this tree and up there, because we've had such a wet spring. I live right in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So G Mountain, Mount Timpanogos. This is Mount Mahogany. And then over here in the front corner of my yard, I moved some of the perennial plants. I moved this little birdhouse to be right here. It was in the backyard. It has a little garage that goes with it to look like our river property. But I need to glue it back together. There's ferns. And this little house on this side. These rocks absorb sunlight during the day and then they glow at night. They make me laugh. They're trying to be a little stream. And if I had been out here weeding and getting this fixed up, I have little blue stones that are going clear through this part to be a little stream. And I'll show you the mess this is right now, just so you can appreciate it later when I clean it up and get all the little doors and little walkways back in. It's just some rocks and mossy wood. And this is what my wee village looks like right now. It has 2 levels. Lower level and an upper level. This lower level left half I thought would be okay during the construction, but it used to be held up with railroad ties, wood, and one of the big tractors came around this corner right here, caught the edge of it, all the railroad ties got torn off, and some of my houses and stuff right there started, it was like there was a big earthquake, a big hole in the ground, everything started falling in. So I realized I was gonna have to, I just took everything out. I didn't take the plants out, but I took out all of the little things I had in there that were not plants. But I was hoping that these perennial plants I would be able to save. I'm still hoping that. We do have some succulents that stayed. So I'll get that part put back in. This is the part I removed because I knew that it was not going to survive. And then this upper section did not have a weed. It's got a couple of peonies in it. I am hoping to also build a village up in that upper section.
They came out yesterday. There was a traffic backup just
You
trying to
taking
get
pictures?
into Moab.
Video.
Yeah, but this isn't